Wow. The Chinese government has told its carriers to not take delivery of Boeing aircraft as China and the United States continue their tit-for-tat tariff trade war that began in April. This reportedly also extends to US-made aircraft components, a move that would not only hurt Chinese airlines and their ability to maintain aircraft, but also its C919 program. Let's take a look at what's happening. Just yesterday, we put out a video about Chinese carrier Junyao Air choosing to delay its single outstanding 7879 delivery from Boeing. Things have escalated significantly since then. In an exclusive report by Bloomberg, which cited people familiar with the matter, the Chinese government told its airlines not to take Boeing deliveries amidst its trade war with the US. In China, it's an organization by the name of the National Development and Reform Commission, or NDRC, that controls airlines' ability to take delivery of new aircraft. This order to halt aircraft deliveries comes shortly after China retaliated with its own heightened tariffs against US-made goods, with the government also considering aid measures for airlines that are leasing Boeing aircraft to help with higher expenses. As noted in our April 15th video, it was on April 2nd that the Trump administration announced the so-called Liberation Day, imposing 10% tariffs on all countries, plus individualized reciprocal higher tariffs on countries with which the US has the largest trade deficits. This was to begin on April 9th. However, on April 8th, Trump increased tariffs on Chinese-made products from 34% to 84%, with China responding with an identical tariff rate. Then, on April 9th, Trump, witnessing the collapse of the bond market, walked back on the individualized quote-unquote reciprocal tariffs until at least July 9th, instead imposing a blanket 10% tariff rate on nearly all countries. While many countries were relieved, the president of the US doubled down on targeting China, hiking tariffs to 125%, and on April 10th clarified that the tariff paid by US importers was actually 145%. How does this affect Boeing? Well, this applies to any outstanding payments Chinese carriers would have made upon taking delivery of their Boeing aircraft. We're not privy to the exact process, but it is generally understood that airline customers make a down payment when a firm order is made, and installments are paid after that. Depending on the agreement, there could be a large outstanding amount that is only paid when the aircraft is delivered, which would make a lot of sense. Chinese airlines not taking delivery of those jets would prevent Boeing from getting those last payments. Boeing could also be stuck holding on to undelivered planes, which would take up space at its facilities and require routine maintenance. However, it may not hurt Boeing too much if the plane maker is able to redirect those jets to other airlines. According to Boeing's orders and deliveries site, the plane maker has 6,319 unfilled gross orders, with Chinese airlines having a gross backlog of 130 aircraft, or just 2% of the total. Reuters and Bloomberg note that China's top three airlines, Air China, China Eastern and China Southern, had planned to take delivery of 45, 53 and 81 Boeing planes respectively between 2025 and 2027. It's not just fully built airframes impacted in this escalating trade war. It's also being reported that Beijing has also asked that Chinese carriers halt purchases of aircraft-related equipment and parts from US companies. With this news coming from the exclusive Bloomberg report, Reuters noted that it was unable to verify the information. Two aerospace industry sources told Reuters they had not been alerted independently to a blanket ban by China on US aircraft parts. But if true, this could be a huge challenge for Chinese carriers operating Boeing aircraft. A ban on US-made parts could halt operations due to the inability to acquire spares for maintenance and repairs. If this goes on, we could see something similar to what happened with export sanctions on Russian airlines, something that would impact scheduled maintenance and any unforeseen repairs requiring replacement parts. But if we believe that a lot of global trade is mutually beneficial to both parties, it's apparent that it's not just China hurting Boeing and US industry, but also China hurting itself. And this goes beyond Chinese airlines and their Boeing jets. As highlighted by Reuters, the country would be creating trouble for its own industries by banning imports of new US parts that would support its existing fleet of aircraft, including China's C919. A Bank of America analyst told clients, if China stops buying aircraft components from the US, the C919 program is halted or dead. According to Airways magazine, the following parts of the C919 depend on trade with the United States. Propulsion systems come from CFM International, a joint venture between General Electric, US, and Safran, France. Getting more technical, this is the CFM LEAP 1C power plant. Then, when it comes to avionics and electronics, flight data recorders come from General Electric, communications and navigation systems are from Honeywell, and weather radar are supplied by Rockwell Collins. For structural components, aluminium components for the fuselage are from US firm Arconic, wheels and brakes are manufactured by Honeywell, and the fuel system is designed and produced by Parker. Airways magazine also highlights that the C919's reliance on US technology extends beyond these major components and impacts many subsystems and parts. But on the other side of the Pacific, Boeing's aircraft also rely on some made-in-China components. Per a 2022 infographic/information sheet, China had a component role on every Boeing commercial airplane model in production at the time of the document's publication. Types include the 737, 747, 767, 777, and 787 Dreamliner. The Boeing document, highlighting its valued relationship with China, stated that more than 10,000 Boeing aircraft fly throughout the world with parts and assemblies built in China. It's unclear how much of Boeing's supply chain has been restructured and reorganized since then, but without any special exemptions on aerospace components, Boeing will be paying a lot more for Chinese parts to complete its jets. It's clear that both sides, China and the United States, believe this ongoing and escalating trade war is one that each side is able to win. On April 15th, Trump took to Truth Social with a post regarding American farmers and trade negotiations. At the end of the post, he briefly acknowledged the Bloomberg report by saying, "Interestingly, they just reneged on the big Boeing deal, saying that they will not take possession of fully committed to aircraft." With the pace of news moving as fast as it has been in recent weeks, we're not sure what exactly may change by the time you watch this video. However, as things stand, the aviation industries for both the US and China are certainly in challenging positions as a result of tensions between the two governments. But what do you think of all of this? Can you imagine one country or another blinking first to give in and find a solution? Or do you think that we're at a point where long-term supply chain restructuring will need to take place? Let us know your thoughts on this trade war as well as your predictions by leaving a comment down below. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.